Okay, so to play around with some of the tools that we have available inside of Premiere, I have imported this little wire test image sequence that I made inside of Houdini. So the first thing, anytime you bring something in as an image sequence, the first thing you do need to make sure you do is you need to right click on it here, come up here to modify and interpret its footage. You can do this with actual footage as well. Sometimes what will happen when you import something in is it'll interpret it at a different rate than what you're looking for. So currently, I know when I rendered this, I wanted it at 24 frames a second, but it defaulted it to the standard 30 frames per second that Premiere defaults everything to. So I'm going to just come over here to where it says assume this frame rate, and I'm going to change that to 24 and just hit OK. What this does is it says, hey, this little video footage needs to be 24 frames per second and not 30 frames per second. So I'm just going to drag this over here, change my sequence settings. So as I mentioned in a different video, we have this little yellow bar here. Pretty much what this means is it's playing back at half or part of our frame. So you can see when I drag on here, our playback section, there's nothing there. It's not seeing anything. The reason it's doing that is one, because right here, it's yellow. So I'm going to come up here to sequence, and I'm just going to render into out. Pretty much what that's going to do is it's going to say, hey, look at every frame and make sure everything's playing properly. It's still not playing. I think this is because my Premiere is running a bit slow. So we're not going to worry about that too much, especially for this demo. Pretty much to fix that, I would just reset my Premiere. So don't worry about not being able to see this right here. We can hit play here. It's also spacebar. You can reverse by frame, go forward by frame, start at the beginning, go to the end. You can also trim your composition there to only see specific spots. But for right now, what we want to do is we want to look at some of the tools we can use inside of here to change how our wire test mantra that I have in here will interact. So up here at the top, I have a motion section under the effects control. Pretty much I can change the position, so where is it located over here in my playback? The scale, is it going to be zoomed in or out? Is it rotated in any direction, clockwise or counterclockwise? Where is our anchor point? The anchor point is normally situated at the center, but if we need to scale something from the bottom or the top, we can move that anchor point to the bottom so things will scale down to that spot at the very bottom of our screen instead of to the center. We also have opacity. How opaque do we need it? Do we need it to be 100% visible or invisible? It should also keyframe anytime you have our little stopwatch here. So you can see in this little time slider right here, I automatically created a diamond keyframe. I can turn that off by toggling that little animation. It's like, are you sure there's keyframes here? Yeah, I don't need it right now. You can also create masks here with your buttons up here in your opacity section. I'm going to have a video specifically just for that, so don't worry about it, at least in this video. But just be aware this is where those mask buttons are. Moving on, this is our overall timeline, our sequence here. There's a couple things you do need to know. This V1 is for video 1. It is to toggle the track that you are currently working on. This one is which one is things going to be put on first. So if I set it up here and drag something in, it would try to come in over here. You can also toggle on tracking for individual ones above. You can lock them so they can't be edited. You can toggle sync to other things, and you can also toggle visibility. Down here is the opposite, or the same thing, but for audio. You have your audio tracks 1, 2, and 3, so you can hear all of your audio, view all of your video. You can mute individual layers, so if I drag my Fluty Sting back over here and scrub through, you hear that nice crunchy audio. I can hit mute on there and not hear a thing. You can also solo just this one track, so you can only hear the one. And if you need to, you can also do a voiceover recording of anything you've done inside of here. So should you need to voice over something, you can just click that button and it will record audio for you. From here, we also have some buttons here. You can insert sequences and nest them in. So if I wanted to take this sequence 1, I could drag this over here, and it won't let me bring it in because it is a completely separate sequence. It should though. Don't know why it's not. Probably because it's empty. You can also turn on whether you want to snap to the timeline, so you can see how my audio here, my video snaps here to the end. It'll also snap to the end of my audio. If you need to do something a little bit more manual and you don't want something to snap, you can turn this off, and you'll see I no longer get snapping. Okay, so from here, there are a couple things we can do to our footage to get the best that we need out of it. I'm going to mute this audio track. So this is our standard selection tool. It is V on the keyboard, the same as After Effects and Photoshop. This will allow us to click and select our footage. The next one here is this little ripple delete button, or forward button, sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm looking at different buttons. Pretty much how this works is every track behind where you've clicked will shift on the timeline. If you press and hold, you can get the opposite. Everywhere from behind back will shift. So if you're only trying to shift from one point back to get a little bit more space, so you can add a different clip, you can use these tools to move your entire composition without having to recomp anything. Next, we have our ripple edit tools. These are the ones I was thinking. We can ripple edit along the edges. So you can see in the middle here, I get this little no-go button. But when I hit to the edge, you'll see it'll let me ripple edit, extend, and erase parts of my timeline, like so. You can also do things like the rolling edit, the stretch tool, that sort of thing. The stretch tool is pretty neat. It says, hey, stretch this a little bit more. You'll see my thing up here at the top becomes red. That's because it's no longer fully cached. Next, we have our slip tool. The slip tool is really nice. It allows you to look between two pieces of footage. I don't have a secondary footage here, but it allows you to see if you were to slip this forward and backward, where would they interact inside of their actual independent footages. Then we have our hand tool. This allows you to move inside of this area, allows you to pan in here, but the V tool also works for that as well. You also have the zoom tool hidden under here. So should you need to zoom in here or here, you can do so. Then we have our pen tool. Our pen tool is quite neat. It allows us to draw shapes. Again, we can't see it, but it did make a graphic here. We can also use our pen tool to create standard shapes like rectangles and ellipses or circles, and we can use those also as a mask. Again, we'll play more with that in another video. Then we also have our text. You can create text. If I click here and type, you won't be able to see, but I said hello. It'll make a graphic, which is that text. The last tool that I skipped here is this razor tool. Its shortcut key is C. That's because it used to be called the cut tool. Me and the razor tool have words. We throw hands. I personally will still call it the cut tool, but if you call it the razor tool, or if I sometimes call it that, they're the same tool. Pretty much what it does is it's got this little X-Acto blade. It's got this little cutting tool here. Anywhere you hover over top of your footage and click just once will create a cut in your footage. Thus why it is C on the keyboard. Used to be called the cut tool. Now it's the razor tool. That sort of thing. And then let's say if I wanted to remove specific parts of my footage, I could now click on them, hit the delete key, and remove them and have individual pieces here. I can also at any point re-extend those. They just won't be attached anymore. Or I can delete those, and since they're all the same footage, zoom that all the way back out from the end to get the exact length of this clip that I need. All right, that is all of the tools that we're going to be talking about for now. See y'all in another video.